I'd like to ask you, why do you love coming to work at SPC?
I keep coming back because the boys are genuine and they have a go and they're enthusiastic and they're salt of the earth. They're genuine guys.
I've been part of the community for 35 years, be 36 this year, and obviously over that time I've seen a lot of changes and made a lot of connections with students and staff, and it's just a wonderful place to work.
There are many wonderful female staff within the SPC community. What gifts do you see they bring that make us stronger?
Encouraging you with motivation, supporting you with everything in school.
There is a saying that goes, behind every successful man is a strong woman, and I think now more than ever it's time for us to step forward and be recognised in our own right.
Oh my gosh, the women at SPC are an incredible bunch of inspirational women who bring their whole selves to this school. They really care about their students. They are more often than not additionally qualified, so they're bringing so many extra talents and skills. And the number one thing that I've noticed amongst us all is that there is a solidarity that keeps us all pushing through and looking for better and supporting each other when we're all juggling so many different things.
So Miss Lau, at SPC there are times when we don't get it right. What parts of SPC culture do you believe we as a community need to turn our attention to and challenge?
For me, I think there's a certain element of yobbo behaviour that when sometimes the young men get into a group, they can sort of go to the lowest common denominator and carry on like they're on a football field rather than in a place of learning.
I think in my experience with both current students and old boys of the school, you get this real mentality of like the boys have to hang together and you're not allowed girls in your group. And I feel like that can be quite, it makes you feel excluded.
I think we definitely need to challenge the language that we're using around female staff and about female staff, and also the treatment of male staff versus female staff. There's, from a teacher's perspective, I certainly notice a difference in not all, but some of the boys. So that's something that we're probably going to need to work on and change.
Are there parts of SPC culture that at times cause me to question my connection to the community?
It's disappointing to regularly hear our students using foul language or derogatory terms, especially about women around the campus, like I said, on a regular basis. So perhaps that's something that our students could focus on and our senior students could start challenging our boys on, and we could look at that.
Sometimes I could be standing and talking to a male colleague, and someone who I've taught before or have a good relationship with will interrupt us, completely ignore me, and speak to the male colleague. And I say, am I a tree? Hi, I'm a human being, I'm here. Please acknowledge both, because I always acknowledge you with dignity.
Mr. Polich, question 5. There have been many women past and present who have worked tirelessly to strengthen our school and your community. What would be your promise to them on International Women's Day?
I think for me personally it would be to lead by example. I know there's lots of instances throughout the school that I've heard firsthand that sort of poor behaviour that's been shown by some of the leaders in our school, some of the older members of the community. And so I think as someone who's in that sort of environment, I think one thing I would promise would be to sort of call out those injustices when I see them and call out that wrongdoing and sort of show the right way to treat our female staff.
I think over my 10 and a bit years of being here, there's been plenty of women that have helped me out, not just in the classroom but just conversations. And I think I could promise a number of things, but coming to this great school, there's lots of good positives, lots of good students, and I'd like to encourage everyone to be part of it and to really engage in it. But my promise would be I will hold every student that I come across, from a classroom point of view, down the workshop to out in the playground. I'd hold them accountable in some of their language and some of the things they do. Across the board, that's for both male and females. I think it's important that us men in this space, because we are, as much of us that are role models in ways, I think, as mentors and all that sort of stuff, I think it's important that we really engage with boys and hold them accountable, because I think it's important that we do hold them accountable with, you know, our actions, so they see us acting well, and then hold some of their mistakes they do make, whether it's with their words or through their actions. It's up to us to help that and guide that and help the women in our society and our community, because I've got a daughter and I've got a wife, so I expect that when my daughter is at a school, that she's getting looked after in those spaces. So the same thing with our boys. I think we encourage them, and we also help out our female staff as much as possible, and really enjoy having them female staff as influencers in our space as well.
Hello SPC. I've sat here and I've listened to all the different people being interviewed for our second episode of You Can Ask That International Women's Day. And when I was asked to be a part of this, I wasn't sure how to go about making sure the right messages came forward. I must say that everyone I've heard is trying to be extremely respectful to a community they love. But I'm worried that they're talking around the issue instead of putting it on the table and acknowledging that there's something that we have to turn our attention to. As I would say, there's an elephant in the room. Now, I struggle to bring this to our community because I can't walk in the shoes of people like my wife and my mother and my daughter. But I know that their journey is very different to mine. I hear from many young men and from our staff that at times there are certainly people within our community who will go into their classroom and they'll treat a female teacher completely different to they would a male teacher. Now, I'm not in that classroom, so I can only sit here and listen to their stories and bring that to our community. So I want you to ask yourself today, gentlemen, are you one of those young men in the classroom who walk in and see a female teacher as someone that you will behave differently towards than a male teacher? Do you take behaviours into that classroom that you know are inappropriate and take advantage of someone who you think, being a male, you can stand over? If you're in that classroom, I ask you to think of those words of Mr. Mays on Assembly last week when he gave his apologies for not being here today, which were, you can't do that. And you'll see those posted around the school this week. So my challenge to you as a community is to make certain that we acknowledge that there are times that I'm hearing and there are times that I believe are out there where we are not behaving in a manner that is appropriate, and we are not rewarding the wonderful messages and energy that all these wonderful ladies have brought to our community that have made it the journey that it is today. We quite often sit here and say, standing on the shoulders of giants. I wonder what picture you get in your head when you talk about that giant. And I wonder whether it's a male or female, because we certainly stand on the shoulders of many female giants who have built this community and made it what it is. I'd ask you to think on International Women's Day, are you being respectful?